would be easy to confuse the vast, wide-open countryside of green hills, perennial trees, pristine pastures with their complement of plump dairy cows, swift flowing rivers and overflowing dams of the KZN Midlands with its namesake in England. But their differences are vast and their attraction dissimilar. Up until the mid-1970s, the economy of the Midlands revolved primarily around agriculture, notably forestry and dairy. Lately, thanks in part to a small group of artists, weavers, potters, designers and craftsmen who saw the potential for an entirely new revenue stream, the tourism and hospitality industry has thrived beyond all expectations, attracting people not only from all over South Africa, but from all over the world.
Well, I travelled all over the country. I was always in and out of a plane in Cape Town, Durban. And wherever I came to Natal, just somehow people were more friendly, and the area had a sort of magic about it.
Retired Brigadier General Jim Parker and his wife Jeannie, as is the case with so many, fell in love with the Midlands after their first visit.
We knew we wanted a homestead, a bit of space. We knew we wanted somewhere that would be big enough to use as a family base. We've got 2 children and they would surely marry and multiply and blah, blah, blah. And we wanted somewhere that was practical, not too remote and had possibilities.
One of the possibilities considered by the Parkers as their Midlands moneymaker was the opening up of a bed and breakfast establishment, which is something more and more people from the big cities of South Africa have been considering.
We had to have something of a fallback, a money spinner, and we thought, well, maybe B&B, and we never thought we'd ever run a B&B.
People definitely come here to look at what were the initiators of the meander, which were the hippies, and they're still around. And then more recently, what we refer to as the corporate refugees, which are the people who have done a complete lifestyle change and opted out of the cities and into the country environment. It's definitely a lifestyle choice as opposed to making more money in the country, because you often don't make anything like they were making in the cities in their professions, but their lifestyle is certainly enhanced by living in this environment.
The Parkers searched long and hard to find the ideal property in which to set their B&B at a time when the market was far less saturated than it is now.
We looked over a period of time, the best part of a year, around the Midlands area. I suppose using a well-known agent to help us, we thinned the search down to about 12 places. And they stretched from Howick to Obenbalgarn to Escort to up to Bergville and Nottingham Road and Moy River. It was a going concern farm, a small 100-hectare. The house had been built almost 100 years ago, I think 1906.
I think having been bed and breakfast guests ourselves all over the place, we always prefer to be outside the house. You feel more comfortable, you're not having to invade anybody else's space. Well, we built 2 cottages from scratch, so that was quite a big undertaking. And one elderly cottage we converted into a bed and self-catering cottage.
While finding an old farmhouse and setting up a bed and breakfast may have worked for the Parkers 8.5 years ago, these days both the oversaturation of the market and the prohibitive startup costs work against anyone thinking of doing the same now. And those thinking a life in the country is a walk in the park would do better to think differently.
Costs, I remember the costs being, obviously the rand was different then, about 160,000 to build the 2 new cottages, about 100,000 I think to gut and to make the self-catering cottage ready. So something around $250,000 I'd have thought at that stage.
With the market as it is now, I would certainly advise people to look at a going concern. And I know the immediate thought is that, well, it obviously hasn't done terribly well if the people are moving out. And I don't think that is relevant. You have a lot of people who come here for the lifestyle, as we say, and they suddenly realize that over a 4 to 5 year period that they're living the lifestyle to a certain degree, but they're working hectic hours.
You've got to be prepared to work quite hard. It's early mornings, and it's, if you decide to provide dinner, it's also late evenings. The mornings, I personally prefer to do the breakfast myself. There are hundreds of ways different people want their egg or their sausage and tea. You know, it's a minefield. Is it rooibos? Is it ordinary? Is it Earl Grey?
I got the feeling towards the end it was becoming a bit cluttered. we certainly had evidence of people coming into B&B and getting out fairly quickly because it wasn't for them, and I wasn't entirely certain what all the reasons were.
Perhaps it would be a better idea for someone wanting to do that rather than starting from scratch, would be probably to buy from someone who had given up for one reason or another. So rather than proliferate and produce too many, I think there would be too many otherwise.
One couple who would fit very neatly into the corporate refugee category would be Laurie and Peter, the folks who bought old Rearsby Farm from the Parkers when they decided to sell off their business.
We decided to move to the Midlands when we realised that the corporate lifestyle we were living in Cape Town was just really not conducive for the family or as a whole, and we wanted to give our daughter a much better lifestyle. I must say, from a family perspective, it's great because you're able to spend quality time together. There's not lots to do around in the area. There's not lots of places to go. And you spend your evenings together playing backgammon, or you watch TV together, or you saddle up the horses in the afternoon, or you just sit out on the veranda and just chat and watch the sun go down.
Laurie and Peter came to the Midlands pursuing a dream of living free in the countryside and giving their daughter a life that the big city simply couldn't offer.
His words to me were, I'd love to own a home where I can walk out my front door and keep walking and I still own my land, and when I turn around I can't see my house anymore.
And while the pursuit of a dream is a noble thing and can work out for the best for everyone involved, it doesn't hurt to do some research and know all the potential stumbling blocks beforehand.
I think it's imperative that people come in with sufficient capital to obviously see the startup, and secondly to make sure that they can market that product.
We initially looked to build that scenario, to build a home with the B&B opportunities or B&B potential. And then we stumbled upon this, which had everything going for it, and fortunately had been marketed incredibly well prior to us having bought it.
Be very cautious, have a good look around and make sure that you aren't just buying a room or rooms, but that you link that with existing activities in the area, or you become very aware and au fait with what is offered in the area.
I would say firstly they should do their homework. They should look at all the B&Bs in the area, see what they're doing, see what sort of income they're bringing in, and also I think something that's quite important to see if there's a second income coming into the house which is supporting the B&B.
While it is possible to make a great deal of money in the Midlands, it takes a prohibitively large investment to make it work, especially with the way the market is now. And while the country lifestyle may seem romantic when viewed from Cape Town or Johannesburg, it takes an incredible amount of effort to make a success out of it. But for those looking for nothing more than a change in lifestyle, a chance to wake up to fresh country air every morning and to run a business that lets you spend time at home and make new friends, the Midlands might just be the place to meander down to.
Certainly financially worthwhile. If you run a B&B carefully, and if you have set up to a set of rules and stick to them, it actually is quite a prosperous business. The drawback is that it's damned hard work.
The variation and the uniqueness of each product is absolutely mind-blowing. The bottom range can sit round about 150 to 200 rand, and it can go right up to plus 700 per person per night, bed and breakfast. And that just shows the extremes of accommodation we have.
I must say it's really nice being able to work from home where you don't have to actually step off your ground, the business comes to you. And it's also interesting meeting all the various people that our guests.